That three-day tournament was played in part in Hamden and also here in Northford. Now, it's unknown where those players contracted the virus, but parents here say they're not too concerned.
I just feel as long as you follow the rules, there's really nothing to worry about.
Rules and guidelines, Ed Angiolo believes the Northford Ice Pavillion is doing a good job enforcing.
They're only allowed one parent. The kids' locker rooms are open. There's X's where they have to sit, so they're pretty spread apart.
At least a dozen hockey players from New York and a teen from Massachusetts tested positive for COVID-19. They'd recently played in tournaments in New Hampshire and Connecticut July 31st to August 2nd. Northford Ice Pavillion confirms that the tournament took place in part at their rink. Some of the other games were played at the Louis Astorino Ice Arena in Hamden. It's unknown if the players had COVID while participating in the tournaments.
I feel comfortable enough with the way things have been going that I'm still bringing my daughter here. I don't see a problem with bringing her here. I don't see a problem with her doing figure skating.
While some parents are more concerned about the return to school than they are the ice, not all skaters agree.
Probably at school, honestly. Probably be a little bit cleaner.
New York and Massachusetts rinks remain closed due to the pandemic. The Connecticut Hockey Conference that oversees all USA hockey events in the state say out-of-state teams would be allowed under state guidelines to play in tournaments approved by them, although this tournament was not one of theirs.
And this is the off-season for the most part, so all of these teams, the events, they're all privately run. They do not fall under our jurisdiction.
Parents and players I talked to said they would be open to playing tournaments, but not so much with teams from out of state. The New York Hockey Association criticized parents for taking their kids to out-of-state games, but they have since retracted that statement. In Northford, Dave Puglisi, Fox 61 News.